Chinese national killed in a robbery. Western province governor seeks leniency. And Bulolo-Sepik community seeks dialogue.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Tuesday's news. Port Moresby police have begun investigations into the killing of a man of Chinese origin during a robbery early this morning. Another man is seriously injured after the thugs robbed their shop and slashed him with a knife. An eyewitness told EMTV News the suspects used a ladder and gained entry through the shop's window.
Shocked residents of Badili and Koki woke up from their homes with the news of the murder of the Chinese businessman. An eyewitness said thugs forcefully climbed through the side window using window jacks to gain access and enter the shop. The owner of the shop was murdered and another Chinese national seriously injured. Police arrived half an hour later to retrieve the body, with CID officers establishing investigation into the killing and attack. The other injured Chinese national is currently admitted at a private hospital in Port Moresby. Police say suspects are still at large, with police establishing the motives of the attack.
There were two Chinese male nationals who were attacked by unknown suspects. They've taken photographs. They searched the house. They've retrieved a homemade gun with 5 empty bullet shells and a bush knife that were obtained from the scene.
Commander Callout also appealed to PNG nationals working at the shop to help police carry out the investigation.
This is not the first killing at Pumo Trading. In 2013, 4 Chinese nationals were killed, including the shop owner and his wife. Police are ruling out the involvement of Chinese gangs, but says a thorough investigation will be carried out. Meanwhile, the Chinese business community in Port Moresby have condemned the killing. Jack Lapave Jr. National, EMTV News.
Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil says the recent increase in the number of armed robberies in Lae is a cause for concern. He said the law and order situation in Lae has become a serious concern for business houses and individuals. Yesterday, 3 businesses were held at gunpoint and relatively large sums of money stolen.
Basil expressed concern after being informed of an armed hold-up at the Plum Trade hardware store at around 10:30 a.m. An unknown number of men armed with weapons held up the Plum Trade employees and made off with the money in a waiting vehicle. The opposition leader is calling on the other members of Morabel province to take this matter seriously, as these are the business houses that they get service from. The level of crime that is being committed in Lae is alarming.
They are Plum Trade, Bridgestone, and plumbers and builders. Not the same criminals, but different. So it's clearly showing that the criminals are having a field day in Lae at the moment. But
last week, Pelgan Supermarket and the Lae International Hotel were robbed. On Sunday, Anderson's Foodland store was held up. The robbery spree continued yesterday morning, where 3 firms were robbed by different criminals.
And they're doing it without worrying about the situation of being shot or being taken to prison.
Plum Trade Finance Manager Steve Fanning says the string of robberies in the city is bringing fear to many Lae residents and the business community. He said these incidents show a general lack of respect.
We were a victim this morning, as were 2 other business houses quite close by, and it comes as a spate of robberies in Lae. It's become a real concern. We've had hotels, restaurants, business houses, individuals being held up again and again and again, and it's literally getting to the stage where we're going to have to start measuring these incidences by the hour rather than even by the day or by the week or the month.
Mataluvis, National EMTV News, Lae.
Western Province Governor Ati Wabiro has asked the Waigani National Court not to send him to prison. In a submission, he asked instead for the court to allow him to repay the 7 million kina of government funds he misappropriated. Wabiro, who is out on bail, apologized to the court, saying he was sorry for his actions. Wabiro and his two co-accused, Western Provincial Administrator Dr. Modowa Gumoy and businessman Norman May, appeared before Justice Martin Ipang.
The trio were given the chance to respond to the court's ruling before their lawyer made submissions on their sentencing. Governor Wabiro was the first to speak. He tried to seek the court's favor. He told the court he graduated with a degree from the University of Technology and also attained 2 master's degrees from universities abroad, and that he is a believer of second chances and asked the court for a second chance. The second convict, Dr. Gumoy, also apologized for his actions and asked the court for leniency, saying he was a senior member in the Western Provincial Government. Local businessman Norman May also apologized for his actions, asking the court for minimal punishment. Their lawyer, Justin Wahuniengu, argued that the trio were not found guilty of serious charges. He submitted that they be put on a good behavior bond and their sentence be suspended. However, state lawyer Anthony Koopman objected to the submissions and said Wabiro has doubted the court's ruling in his statement to Justice Ipang, and all 3 should be imprisoned. The submissions ended late yesterday afternoon. A verdict on their sentence will be delivered by Justice Ipang after considering the trio's statements and submissions from both lawyers. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
2 Supreme Court decisions expected tomorrow could put a halt to the expected recount of ballot papers for the Kandep open seat of the Enga province. The 2 separate decisions will be handed down by Justice Alan David at the Waigani Supreme Court regarding the recount of the Kandep open seat. Today, the lawyer representing the Kandep MP, Don Polier, made 2 submissions on a leave application to hear a slip rule application and an application for a stay on the recount. The lawyer argued that the recount will affect the status of the Kandep seat.
Polier's lawyer asked the court to grant leave and stay the recount to maintain the status quo and the interest of justice. He said this matter arose from an election petition in 2012 by Polier's runner-up Alfred Manasseh. Manasseh alleged that there were errors and omissions in the counting of the ballot boxes, but the National Court had found nothing. He then asked the National Court to recount the 5 ballot boxes which were put aside by the Electoral Commission when Polier reached the absolute majority. However, when it was appealed to the Supreme Court for the 3-man bench to hear the matter, the bench ordered for the recounting of all the boxes. Polier's lawyer have also argued for the court to put a halt to the recounting of all the boxes while the court hears the case. Tomorrow, if Justice David grants leave and ordered for a stay, a 3-man Supreme Court bench will sit for the hearing of the slip rule application. Basenata Yama, National EMTV News.
Among stories after the break, authorities in Bulolo make land available for settlers and partial buai ban in the nation's capital. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Bulolo District Authority has marked out land for displaced Sepik settlers living in a care center for nearly 6 years. But Sepik community leaders are calling for close dialogue with authorities. The Sepiks previously occupied a section of land in Bulolo town until 2010 when they were forced out after clashes with local groups. Bulolo DDA CEO Tai Gwambalek says the district has planned to mix up the different ethnic groups so peace is maintained among them. Bethany Harriman reports from Bulolo.
The displaced Sepiks will be placed into allotments on the same land they lived on before they were chased off in 2010. This time, the Bulolo District Administration has mixed up the ethnic groups. People will not be living in clusters of ethnic groups on their own. Bulolo District Authority CEO Tai Gwambelak says the district had to act immediately because the Sepiks were in the care center for almost 6 years.
In fact, the area where all been sabi for long and people are ken long seven. This time people are like making me official long seven, the plotting, subdividing, so all people, all settlers can apply long them. So now people have been starting off and them here. You can look backside long here, and this is formerly known as Biwat compound.
The Morobe provincial government, through the provincial lands department, was going to allocate new land, but ran out of funding to complete the surveys.
Total amount of portions from this side, lo area Yimisana Plonga Migo Naplo MB Junction, that's 76 plus subdivided blocks. But from then I go further up towards airport and 700. So it's almost 700 to 800 subdivision.
The poor living condition that included airborne diseases and water shortages at the care center had been an issue for the duration of the 6 years. The Sepiks are now waiting to move on to their allotments.
As a member, he come step in now and I help him provincial government now. Long speed him up this process, blow resettlement. Now I'm good player. I'm almost legislative because me don't have strong time.
Marquis Mombi, a Lutheran pastor and Sepik community leader, says they would like to have more dialogue with authorities to keep them better informed.
At me plan it, like him come down, meeting me plan. Updating me plan that's all, on time progress. So that by me plan updating on man Mary too, because at the same time on man Mary put more pressure on me plan.
Bulolo town has had many ethnic clashes over the years because of the many different ethnic groups that call the historical town home. But with all of these ethnic clashes, the Bulolo District Authority hasn't failed to deal with its problems. The district has received support from the Morobe provincial government when these clashes arise. Bulolo is a small town, but it is home to clusters of different ethnic groups, and living together as people in the community is sometimes difficult. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Bulolo.
Since the departure of senior oncologist Dr. John Niblett, Papua New Guinea's ability to deal with cancers had greatly diminished. The ratio of oncologists to cancer patients in Papua New Guinea doesn't look promising as the country is faced with many challenges with human resources and funding to meet the National Health Service Standards minimum requirements. Senior health officers say the health department will continue to spend millions of kina in recruiting overseas specialists. Deputy Health Secretary Dr. Paisen Dakulala told EMTV News that it's a costly exercise to recruit doctors from overseas. However, they have no choice because treatments must be administered.
In Papua New Guinea, there is a critical shortage of medical specialists. Those currently in this system face many challenges, and doctors produced cannot adequately maintain national health service standards. One type of specialist required are oncologists, cancer specialist doctors.
At the moment we have about less than 15,000 workforce to do the health service delivery for the whole country. So that in itself already puts our country into a challenge in terms of the workforce issues. So when we come to looking at more specialized, higher level type expertise, that's even more critical for us.
The cancer unit in Lace Angao Memorial Hospital currently administers treatment.
And for Papua New Guinea, we don't have any national radiation oncologists also. It's not easy to train these particular specialists. It's like the top part of this field, of the medical field, just like when we get up into the top part of the brain surgeons, neurosurgeons. We don't have too many of those, or urologists, urine specialists. These are top specialists.
The National Health Department is working tirelessly to ensure specialists are available to provide medical care and support to cancer patients in the country. While PNG enjoys this service, investment on training of national doctors must also be given a top priority.
Working towards trying to have our own radiation oncologists, and that's still not happened yet. Let alone having the specialists from outside the country to come in, international specialists to help us run our radiation oncology units.
However, Dr. Dakulala says the capacity can be increased if there is adequate funding support from the government. And with PNG now being a member of the International Atomic Energy Commission, the desire is to provide opportunities for national doctors to be trained as radiation oncologists.
As we open up, we have now a cancer policy and a cancer plan that has training as part of its focus or strategy, and so that will open up for us to continue training of our specialists, especially in this oncology area.
Institutions like the University of Technology have been partners in training radiation therapist technicians.
We've basically trained what we need, and then for a number of years we can then go back and train another lot when the demand occurs.
The capacity and strength in dealing with advanced cancers is worse, and therefore the message of hope is prevention is better than cure.
Prevention is better than cure, and what's been done in terms of increasing our awareness and education throughout the whole community, throughout the whole country, even in the rural settings, that's very, very important.
Fabian Hakaritz, National MTV News.
The TB epidemic in Daru, Western Province is now under control. Deputy Health Secretary Dr. Paisen Dakulala told MTV News the support systems put in place has helped people to reduce risk of transmission. Dr. Dakulala thanked all stakeholders for their continuous support.
A number of patients who live in the close proximity to the community have access to that. They walk there, they get their treatment, either injection or drink the medicines, and they are also given food to eat, because many of these patients have difficulty with food and daily sustenance in their life, and that's been addressed for them. And so part of the initiative.
A secret ballot will be conducted next week by the PNG Health Support Workers Association to decide if they should go on strike over an outstanding log of claims. The workers, which include HR managers, cleaners and accountants, want pay increases and better conditions, which will cost up to 10 million kina.
General Secretary Jack Suau said their log of claims has not been attended to for a year now, and there hasn't been a response from the Secretary of Personnel Management, John Cully. He said if they agree, the 800-plus members in Port Moresby will take the lead to go on strike. This could result in the shutdown of health services delivery, such as medical supplies and transport.
I'm now telling them any patient in the hospitals around the country, if a sick person passes away during the strike, they will put the claims through John Cully, that's TPM, and the government has to pay.
The association is made up of non-clinicians and has more than 3,000 members working in all the health sectors of PNG. They lodged their claims with the Department of Personnel Management in September last year, but have since received no response. They requested to be recognized and have increase in their salary, housing allowance, and have restructures and promotions.
The headquarters will also be shut down.
Today, Suau said in a press conference that the department must respond favorably or they will walk off their jobs. Vasanata Yama, National MTV News.
NCD and Central Divisional Commander Sylvester Kalaut said a collective effort is needed to minimize the snatching of bags, phones or other valuable items at the Gordon's bus stop in Port Moresby. Kalaut said while police are doing their part, other concerned authorities also have a part to play. His comments come following reported increase of petty crimes at Gordon's.
Over the past 8 weeks, the Gordon's police station has recorded at least 7 reports of petty crimes in a day. This figure only reflects a smaller percentage of petty crimes that go unreported. Gordon's police estimate that about 15 to 20 people fall victims to petty crimes on a daily basis. Commander Kalaut said a joint effort from police, the National Capital District Commission and market vendors is needed to minimize the petty criminal activities.
Gordon's has been a problem area for us. Most of the residents in Port Moresby, in the nation's capital, don't go to Gordon's or Gordon's market for that matter. Everyone knows that Gordon's is an area where you have a lot of people who are roaming around aimlessly and preying on other citizens who are there to do business or to do marketing. And we have had instances of, bag snatching, even sexual assault at the market. It's a real problem that, all entities need to address collaboratively.
The bus stop is a hub for petty criminals because it is a central bus stop and at least 8,000 people pass through the bus stop every day. Much of the reported cases occur between the bus 17, 13 and 7 bus stops, which is just next to the fence of the Gordon's police barracks.
As you all know, Gordon's, the market area, at any one point in time during the day, it's like densely populated. Yeah, at that particular area alone. All right. My suggestion to the authorities here, even the National Capital District Commission, maybe for us to come up with a strategy to relocate some of the market to other places so that we scatter the people. That could be one of the solutions so that we avoid people congregating at Gordon's market and causing more problems.
But while concerned authorities are still discussing the relocation of the Gordon's market, Commander Kalaut has asked people traveling through the Gordon's bus stop to be cautious and to look after their valuable items. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Governor for NCD, Powes Pakop, and the Acting Deputy City Manager, Community and Social Services, Lulu Ted, have announced new developments regarding the buai ban in the nation's capital. While buai can be brought into the city, trade has been limited only to certain identified locations. Any sale that occurs outside these locations is illegal and punishable. This is to limit littering, as Mr. Pakop revealed that NCDC spends between 10 million kina to 20 million kina annually on cleaning Port Moresby City.
The National Capital District Commission today announced that it will continue to enforce the NCDC Betel Nut Control Law of 2013. Governor Pakop hopes that in the 4 years of the buai ban, that residents of Port Moresby now understand the message behind the ban, which is the need for behavioral change and care for the country's capital city.
Critics will be critics, skeptics will be skeptics, but let's look at the positive side of the ban. Had it not been for the ban, this city will continue to be a city that is full of betel nut stains, ugly sight, unhygienic and unhealthy environment. But up to now, I'm relatively pleased with most residents of the city. A lot of people are making and taking the effort to change their habit.
Following the partial lifting of the buai ban with access allowed through the Laloki and Bautama checkpoints, NCDC is now concerned about the increase in uncontrolled sales in various parts of the city. The only identified trade and market locations for buai are Waikele Market, 6 Mile Market, 9 Mile Market, Koki, and Eppens Wholesale near Tato Settlement at Geruhu Stage 6. Acting Deputy City Manager, Community and Social Services Lulu Ted reminded the general public that the chewing and selling of buai in public places within the city is still banned.
Public places such as shopping malls, educational establishments, government offices, sporting facilities that you see in the city, even in public gatherings like in the parks, these places where we host a lot of things that to do with the public, these things we don't allow them, because these things, they bring all sorts of chaos into the city.
Governor Pakop and Mr. Ted are appealing to vendors to cooperate or else be subjected to the NCD Betelnut Control Law. They also urge residents of Port Moresby to be responsible.
All I ask for is responsible chewing. And that's all.
Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3080, $0.4003 Australian dollars, $0.2707 euro, and 30.55 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed lower, while copra closed the day unchanged. Palm oil, crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 166.62 points lower, the ASX is trading at 21.92 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 21.91 points lower. More local and international news after the break, including the presidential debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. A volunteer director for the PNG Family Health Association in Bulolo believes rural and urban communities should work to balance population growth and existing resources. Zani Yossi says more awareness needs to be carried out to educate the people on family planning methods that are available. Martha Lewis reports from Ley.
The PNG Family Health Association is one of the biggest NGOs in the country. The association has two main branches in Morobe, one in Muchin in the Makam district and the other in Bulolo. They disseminate information and educate communities and individuals on family planning methods related issues. During the 6th Bulolo show over the weekend, the volunteers took the time to educate people on the importance of planning the number of children people should have.
Dealing with information, education and communication. That is to get the message across to the people on our programs and also some of the cross-cutting issues that we have, which is the main one is the HIV/AIDS.
Jani Yossi explains people between the ages of 14 and 50 are encouraged to seek family planning services. He said family planning methods are not only for married couples. The benefits include the prevention of unwanted pregnancies and complications that lead to death and abortions.
But also we advocate on HIV, AIDS, GBV, that is gender-based violence, sexual violence, violence against women, STI, sexually transmitted infections.
With a high rate of teenage pregnancies, the Family Health Association is encouraging people to learn about the family planning methods. The services that are available include pills, fertility awareness, condoms, implants and IVD.
Give him this pill within 72 hours, 3 days or so.
Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Ley.
Sogeri Lodge's adventure tour called the Sogeri Spin is the pathway to tourist sites in the Sogeri area. On Sunday, 15 Catholic Bishop Conference members have taken a time out to explore these beautiful sites. It has become one of tourist attractions outside of Port Moresby. Eric Harupma with this report.
Following a combined liturgy mass in Port Moresby, the CBC members set off to Sogeri on a leisure tour. The 12 archbishops and bishops came from provinces around Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands with Secretary Father Victor Roach and Administration Manager Sister Komari Papu. Chief Tour Guide Narai Billy explained the travel itinerary with police escorts.
Areas lo tourist bekam em kokoro trek bambla wakim moskona or some day trip night bien mipla got nabat activity ken lo warirata lo bedwatch sceneries na mipla got sirum dem mosem mipla kam or some mipla like all tourists must come out lo come looking sirum dem na go on tablo looking all waterfalls na bedwatch na sometimes by looking fish pond or local man look out more fish long fish farming lo here.
At 11:15, they left Sogeri Lodge to Sogeri National High School and met by Deputy Principal Anthony Raipan, family and students. Tea was served upon their arrival as they chanted peacefully. One of the senior members of the group was Archbishop of Rabaul, Father Carl Esse. He spoke of his first visit to Sogeri.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to see this place, Sogeri. I've heard about it a lot. I've read about it, but I've never seen it with my own eyes. Even so, I'm living for 50 years as missionary in Papua New Guinea, 12 years priest, 38 years bishop, but I never made it to this place.
After visiting the school museum, they left to visit the Sirinu Dam. They later traveled to Crystal Rapids, which a lunch was served by the Lord's catering service.
The purpose of our visit to the mountain here to Sogeri, it is really to get the bishops to at least enjoy this time where we are free, to be able to to come out and enjoy the day. So this is a picnic time that we have chosen and confirmed for this day, Sunday. So some of the bishops have never been here to the mountain, and that's we thought that this would be a better chance for them to see this side.
With police presence, the atmosphere was peaceful with many local and international tourists engaged in picnic parties.
Tourism policing is one of the very important tools in the promotion of tourism in PNG. Why? Because it is in line with the government's medium-term development goals and Vision 2050. As far as the government is concerned, as far as the national police functions is concerned, we must create an avenue, a conducive environment for our visitors, not only our international visitors, but also our local visitors.
Concluding the tour in the afternoon, they left for Variarata Park to witness a warrior dance by local entertainers. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
A real estate owner has called on city authorities to properly carry out assessments on illegal water connections in all real estates in the city. Yumiat real estate owner Eke Lama said service providers for water and electricity must maintain and regulate these services as the city is experiencing growth. Mr. Lama made this statement after installing high water pressure pumps to residents at his Gerahu Stage 2 property.
Mr. Lama expressed his concerns over the poor regulation of water and electricity in the city after he was blamed for allegedly making illegal connections to his real estate property at Gerahu. After carrying out his own investigations, his findings prove a low current of water flowing to residents at his property. He says water company Ederanu is not doing enough to regulate this essential service.
I just want to clear the doubt between the Ederanu and myself and Papua New Guineans. I am not doing any legal connection. Time only go check him law, office blow, all wrong. And then only put the water go back now. The water is normal.
Yumiat Real Estate has now purchased 36 water pumps to install and allow normal water supply to its tenants. The installation of the new water pressure pumps by Ederanu will erase 3 years of water rationing by nearly 500 residents within the Gerahu property.
You can look at water pressure come normal, so that maybe line He said, you're going to water pressure, all must come back.
In Port Moresby, illegal water and power connections have cost millions for regulators. Both PNG Power and Edarano have strongly warned residents and business houses to take heed of the implications of illegal connections. Moving on, the real estate owner pledged to build more units so middle-class Papua New Guineans can easily afford. However, housing remains a chronic issue for both the public and private sector. Jack Lapave Jr., National, EMTV News.
The U.S. Embassy today organized an audience of journalists to view and discuss with them the U.S. presidential debate televised on CNN. U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission to PNG Joel Mabry said that the occasion was an opportunity to share with Papua New Guineans what is a historical day for the U.S., seeing its first female presidential candidate participate in the presidential debate. Melisi Goviro reports.
The debate.
The discussion, as noted by Mayberry, brought up quite a wide observation from the audience. The majority of the participants during discussion favored Hillary Clinton's performance, saying her preparation compared to Trump had worked in her favor. Others held an open mind, agreeing that Trump had been unfairly hit with more criticism than Clinton. Mayberry said the U.S. Embassy would maintain a neutral stance on the debate poll results.
You know what the news is. This is clearly an internationally significant election campaign. It's going to be important in the future for the relations between our two countries.
He stated, however, the embassy's take on the figures, saying it did not necessarily reflect the highly anticipated election results. Mayberry concluded discussions commending the participation of journalists as an indication of greater information awareness.
The poll that comes out immediately after the debate is not asking who will you vote for or who will win the election. The poll asks simply who won the debate. So, you know, we have several more weeks to watch this process.
Melisi Goviro, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas, a CNN poll of debate watchers released after the event found 62% felt Clinton won compared to 27% for Trump. Here's part of the debate where discussions centered around Barack Obama's citizenship.
Foreign citizen. You question his legitimacy. In the last couple of weeks, you acknowledge what most Americans have accepted for years. The president was born in the United States. Can you tell us what took you so long?
I'll tell you just very simple to say. Sidney Blumenthal works for the campaign and very close friend of Secretary Clinton. And her campaign manager, Patty Doyle, went to during the campaign, her campaign against President Obama, fought very hard, and you can go look it up and you can check it out. And if you look at CNN this past week, Patty Solis Doyle was on Wolf Blitzer saying that this happened. Blumenthal sent McClatchy, highly respected reporter at McClatchy, to Kenya to find out about it. They were pressing it very hard. She failed to get the birth certificate. When I got involved, I didn't fail. I got him to give the birth certificate. So I'm satisfied with it, and I'll tell you why I'm satisfied with it.
That was
because I want to get on to defeating ISIS, because I want to get on to creating jobs, because I want to get on to having a strong border, because I want to get on to things that are very important to me and that are very important to the country.
I'll let you respond. It's important, but I just want to get the answer here. The birth certificate was produced in 2011. You continued to tell the story and question the president's legitimacy in 2012, 13, 14, 15, as recently as January. So the question is, what changed your mind?
Well, nobody was pressing it. Nobody was caring much about it. I figured you'd ask the question tonight, of course.
He has really started his political activity based on this racist lie that our first black president was not an American citizen. There was absolutely no evidence for it, but he persisted. He persisted year after year because some of his supporters, people that he was trying to bring into his fold, apparently believed it or wanted to believe it. But remember, Donald started his career back in 1973 being sued by the Justice Department for racial discrimination because he would not rent apartments in one of his developments to African Americans, and he made sure that the people who worked for him understood that was the policy. He actually was sued twice by the Justice Department. So he has a long record of engaging in racist behavior. And the birther lie was a very hurtful one. You know, Barack Obama is a man of great dignity, and I could tell how much it bothered him and annoyed him that this was being touted and used against him. But I like to remember what Michelle Obama said in her amazing speech at our Democratic National Convention. When they go low, we go high.
True Guy Sports is next. We'll have netball, cricket and rugby league. Don't go away.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The PNG Under-21 netball team beat Tonga 65 points to 33 in their first match yesterday in New Zealand. PNG led 18-6 in the first quarter and furthered their lead to 34-20 at halftime. PNG then went on to a comfortable lead in the third quarter, leading 51-24. 14 more goals in the fourth quarter saw the girls come out on top 65-33. In the second match against a strong Cook Islands outfit, PNG went down in a close encounter, losing 55 points to 42. PNG takes on Samoa tomorrow at the Netball North Harbour, Auckland, New Zealand. In cricket, the Hebo PNG Barramundis have 6 matches to go in the South Australian Cricket Association League campaign before they return home. With a total of 3 wins from the 4 matches so far, the team has now set aim at bagging the 6 remaining matches. They hope to compensate for their defeat to Western Grit by 84 runs last week in their 2 matches next weekend against the Grits. For this weekend, rivals Eastern Edge may come back stronger as the Barramundis defeated them last Saturday with a comfortable 4-wicket victory. And already set to meet the Barras is Team Northern Territory on the 3rd, 5th and 6th October. All these 50-over matches attended by the PNG side is expected to prepare them for the one-day international match against Namibia in late October, when the Barras will play host for the second time this year. True Guy Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome back to True Guy Sports. Rugby League World Cup Chief Executive Officer Andrew Hill has commended PNG NRL on the work done in the development of the sport in the country. He said a new Pacific Athletes program was recently started by the National Rugby League and will see the program being rolled out in the country.
About 40 staff are currently working with the PNG NRL. Andrew Hill was pleased with the number of women working in the organization.
20 of them are females. I think that's another real significant indication of where our game is going.
Hill arrived with 3 other officials from the Rugby League World Cup Committee with the Australian PM's 13 team for meetings with the PNG RFL and to watch the 12th annual Prime Minister's 13 match.
They haven't witnessed the passion that exists here in PNG. To have some 3,000 or 4,000 people at the airport chanting out our players' names is something that I'm sure will stick with them for a long time.
In 13 months' time, PNG will host 2 European countries and USA in Port Moresby for the Rugby League World Cup pool matches.
I'd like to think that everyone here today and others will help us encourage everyone to welcome those 3 nations and provide them the wonderful cultural experience that exist here in PNG.
He said after the Prime Minister's 13th match, this would be the start of the Rugby League World Cup campaign for both countries.
This is the start of obviously a campaign that you hold dear, and the pinnacle of rugby league is obviously playing for your country.
Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
The first round of matches in the 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia qualifiers have been confirmed, with the Group B encounter between Tahiti and Solomon Islands kicking things off on 7 November in Papeete. The first game in Group A has OFC Nations Cup champions New Zealand welcoming New Caledonia to QBE Stadium in Auckland on Saturday 12th November. New Zealand will also be making the most of the FIFA international window in October, with two big matches against Mexico and USA lined up. Both Fiji and Papua New Guinea will rejoin the action in round 2 of stage 3 of the 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia qualifiers after sitting out this first round with byes. Olympic cyclist champion Bradley Wiggins of Great Britain has defended his use of steroids to treat his medical illness. This comes after a group of online hackers called Fancy Bears went through his confidential medical files. The Tour de France winner of 2011 and 2012 is hoping his explanation in an interview with BBC Newsnight will satisfy the critics.
One of Britain's most decorated Olympian, Bradley Wiggins, yesterday tried to defend his reputation during an interview with BBC Newsnight programme. The cyclist, who is one of the many leading athletes who have had their TUE or therapeutic use exemption leaked by online hackers, allowing the use of banned treatment if there's a valid medical reason. The hack revealed that Wiggins received powerful steroid injections of triamcinolone days before his victory years of two other friends' 2011 and 2012 win. In his first interview since the controversy erupted 11 days ago, Bradley told BBC Newsnight that he took the drug only for one reason: to cure his asthma.
This was to cure a medical condition. This wasn't about trying to find a way to gain an unfair advantage. This was about putting myself back on a level playing field in order to compete at the highest level.
The interview was recorded before a former team doctor told BBC Newsnight programme that he was surprised the cyclist was allowed to take the steroid triamcinolone. Wiggins had to clarify apparent inconsistencies between what he wrote on his autobiography about the use of needles that emerged via Fancy Bears hackers.
I was writing it with a cycling journalist who was very knowledgeable on the sport and had lived through the whole era of the Lance Armstrong era and the doping era.
Having finally broken his silence in an interview, Bradley will now hope, after talking with BBC Newsnight programme, that it will satisfy the critics. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
And that's a wrap for True Kai Sports. The weather details next. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
In the southern region only, mostly fine in all centers.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.